Hello and welcome to Two A Day on Your Packer Link Up. Today is Thursday, August 21st, and you're watching the 5 o'clock edition. Well, the Packers head to Denver tomorrow for their third preseason game. Starts at 8 p.m., and they will try to redeem themselves after their shameful and bitter loss to the 49ers with Aaron Rodgers' homecoming and Mike McCarthy's return to where he had coached. A lot of embarrassment and shame in this game. We can't overstate it. And even though the players and coaches understate it, it's there. So watch for a little bit of a grudge match. Watch for the Packers to come back feisty. Hopefully they will play smart. Hopefully no one will get injured. And hopefully they will play well. And of course, hopefully they'll get a win. Our player spotlight today, we want to talk about Pat Lee. Pat Lee, the second round draft choice out of Auburn, who came in as defensive back, one of the many guys the Packers have brought in to try to have an answer for the question, what happens when Al Harris and or Charles Woodson are gone from this team? Where will we be? How can we live without them? They're another presence back there that we've been spoiled with for quite some years with Al. And Woodson, for every year he's been here, has spoiled us with his remarkably good play, Pro Bowl quality players, and what I consider the best tandem in the league back there, especially after what our receivers did to Dre Bly and the other Denver. And so we get another chance to see that rivalry renewed. Who has the better DBs as we go into Denver? But Pat Lee is one of those guys, played bump and run coverage in at Auburn. He's used to being in the receiver's face. Says he likes it that way. Likes to be physical and likes to be in their face. Lee says, hey, when his number is called, he's just going to go out there and do his job. He's got a good mindset. He does sort of showboat a little bit. His favorite player was Deion Sanders, but don't hold it against him because he also has a level head and says that this is his job and he wants to keep his job. His biggest improvement, he said, was his technique over the course of training camp. His technique has gotten better and better. And the thing he needs to work on most is just making sure his hands are up at all times to knock away balls, to throw off receivers from their routes, etc., etc. He did appear on a preseason edition of the show Inside Lambeau, so you may have gotten a chance to get acquainted with him then. Of course, they asked him personal questions about just, who his favorite player was, like I mentioned, other things like that. But they did bring to light the fact that Pat Lee sort of grabbed the spotlight in the Packers family night scrimmage. And so ever since that point, Lee says he's been more comfortable and he's felt like he's just going out there and playing. And now he's working on just running it exactly the way the coaches want it. And he did mention that he wants to play it perfectly. Of course, we all know that's not probably ever going to happen, but it's the perfect and the only goal for a guy like this to have, especially playing behind a couple Pro Bowlers like he is. And on Woodson and Harris, Pat Lee said, when their time's up, I'll step right in their place. He said he's, again, played that kind of defense. He learns a lot from these guys, and he just wants to be ready whenever they're out or when in the eventual event that they're gone. So that's Pat Lee. Looks like a real great prospect. I love the way he plays. Keep an eye on him in the Broncos game. He may start getting some more time at this point. With some of our other DBs not performing well, and the Tramon Williams, and we're looking perhaps to get him in a little bit more. So just look for him to possibly get more playing time in this all-important third preseason game. And that goes under the category of other news. This is the third preseason game against the Broncos, and that makes it a very important time for the coaches. At this point, the coaches were looking to put out their starting lineups at this point, to evaluate them, make some final decisions, and then the players that they're rotating in are again to see who makes the cut. There are going to be a lot of cuts, a lot of guys without jobs on the streets very shortly here. And I think the Packers are behind the eight ball a little bit in this because of our injuries, but also because of the way our offensive line is performing, we've had to just it's hopscotch out there. We don't know who's going to be where, and we have to find out soon. So hopefully the coaches will get that. Well, they'll have to get it all nailed down before the final cuts. Also in other news, Nick Barnett avoided suspension this week by giving up a week's salary. He about the incident in the nightclub last June or whenever it was. Barnett was initially suspended for one game because of that incident, and the ruling that came down, he appealed that ruling. He has the right to do that. He appealed it and was able uh, to avoid sitting on the bench for a game by giving up a week's salary. So Barnett will play in the season opener fast and light because his wallet will be 1,555, or I'm sorry, 155,000, big difference there, $882 lighter. So he will have a fast, quick game and hopefully do well enough to earn some bonus money and pick it back up. But that's our news and player spotlight for today on Two-A-Day. I hope to see you back here at 10 o'clock tonight for the 10 o'clock edition. And until that time, go Pack.